Hey, hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jesse, and today I'm bringing you my top 5 books that I read in 2023. It was incredibly hard to only pick 5 books because I've had an amazing reading year where I've read so many books that I love, so I will be doing a little bit of an honorable mentions section at the end of this video because there's so many books that I loved this year. I'm not lying when I say that I loved so many. Look at all these books that I loved. So I'll be mentioning more than 5 because I didn't want the other books to feel left out, feel neglected. No one gets left behind here. But with that being said, the books on this list, this top 5 list, are books that I feel like are favorite books now. They've hit that top tier, god tier, favorite books of all time list. So with that being said, let's get into it. Let me share with you my top 5 books that I read in 2023. The first book on my list is A History of Wild Places. In this book, we are following a detective who is trying to track down this children's author who went missing years ago. In doing so, he comes across a community that was believed to be a legend. And when he comes across it, he too disappears from the outside world. This book does what I need more books to do. It not only brings in this fantastic writing style in terms of atmosphere, dialogue, and inner thoughts, but it delivers an abundant plot that leaves you feeling satisfied. I feel like a lot of authors will lean into this incredibly flowery writing style where it's very focused on the atmosphere and describing things in a pretty way. But because they're leaning so deep into that and making this garden of beautiful words, they forget to really focus on having a coherent plot. And that can be incredibly frustrating because I don't only want beautiful writing, I also want solid plot, solid characters, etc, etc. And this author I feel does a good job of finding that happy spot where she's hitting both notes, both beautiful writing and having great plot and great characters and just creating this beautiful harmony within the book. The story does fall into a bit of a predictable place, but that did not take away from the overall enjoyment for me. I enjoyed it from beginning to end. This is a very culty book, so if you're someone who enjoys reading culty books, then have a cult of a time. The next book on my list is Dark Archives. This is a nonfiction book focused on the history of anthropodermic I just learned how to say this word and I just forgot. Bibliophagy. Anthropodermic bibliophagy, aka books that are bound in skin. Human skin. Oh man, this book left me book shook. This was the first nonfiction book that I've ever read that just really did its job to grip me and hold my attention the whole way through. The topic was somewhat grim and uncomfortable, but I think the fact that it was so eerie is what kind of put me in a chokehold and just had me not wanting to put the book down. The author approaches the topic with the utmost respect, and it feels like she wrote this book for the people whose skin was used. No matter how many times I say that, though I don't go around saying that often, it still feels so absurd. Anyway, the author almost uses this book as a way to get justice for those people and to tell their stories and to not only have their lives be kind of encompassed by this one thing that their skin was used to make a book. Instead, she makes an effort to learn about them and to share some of their history and in a way put them to rest peacefully and respectfully. It's just one of those books that stirred up so many emotions for me as I read it. Anger, sadness, frustration, uncomfiness, fascination. And I love when a book is able to have me feeling so many things. When a book provides a roller coaster of emotions, I will gladly partake. I will get on that ride. I will sit front row and I will take it all in. I just love this book to pieces, and talking it out right now makes me want to just stop what I'm doing and reread it. But it covers so many things. It not only covers the art of figuring out if a book is bound in skin, but it talks about the world of fake books bound in skin and why there even are fakes. It talks about some practices that are somewhat similar to this, but are obviously consensual. And there was a really fascinating story in here about one of the books that was bound in skin, and the person whose skin was used, it was consented to, and learning about that was really interesting. I would love to see a docu-series on this topic. I would eat that up. I would devour it. Oh my god. Someone give it to me, please. There actually might already be one. I haven't done research on that, but I really should. The next book on my list is Gory Details, Adventures from the Dark Side of Science. This is a nonfiction book that explores the dark and grim things that are happening in our world that happen on the daily. This book is one of those situations where I was not really set up to love it because it covers so many horrific things. I feel like a lot of these things could send me into a spiral where I just overthink them for hours. And I did have a few spirals while reading this book, I'm not even gonna lie. I was just thinking about it and questioning if certain things have happened to me maybe without me even realizing it. But I just found myself so into it, and by the time it was over, like I wanted more. It basically just delves into like all these weird and creepy and dark topics surrounding things like animals eating their owners, bugs that enjoy finding their way into your ear and nose holes in the night, necrophilia, and many other things, many other topics. I think something that really worked for me with this book is that like I just enjoyed getting little bits here and there. Like each chapter was pretty short surrounding the different topics that they were talking about, and I just loved having those bite-sized bits of information. It gives you just enough information to kind of like spark curiosity, and if you want to go beyond this book, you can like go Google things, or you can just leave it be and not investigate, because I feel like investigating might be a bad idea to learn a lot more about things that go down in this book, because I even question if knowing some of the things that I learned in here are things that make me better knowing them, or if I was fine before with these things like out of sight, out of mind. But did you guys know that more people actually die of constipation than shark attacks? That was news to me. I'm realizing that this book list in particular says a lot about me and my taste in books these days. Morbid, dark, eerie, culty. The next book on my list is House of Hollow, and my book is still sticky from this book having a bargain price sticker on it. Disgusting. House of Sisters follows three... House of Sisters? Did I just say House of Sisters? House of Hollow follows three sisters, the Hollow sisters, and at one point in their lives they all went missing. The thing is, they can't remember anything about disappearing. They don't remember who took them, they don't remember what happened to them, or where they went. But when one of the sisters goes missing again, the other two sisters decide that they're going to do everything that they can to track her down, and in doing so, they begin to unpack and explore and uncover the things that happened to them when they first disappeared. This is a very dark, fairy tale-esque story that will keep you on your toes the deeper you get into it. There are moments that you're reading this that you will just be like, this is so absurd. And you might be a little confused at times, but I just like went along with it. I was just in it for the ride. There was something sweet about it being sort of nonsensical. Like it's already just a really interesting story, and then like the kind of flowery writing, the nonsensicalness of it, the fairy tale-ness of it just like really added a really interesting flavor to the book. I was not expecting the place this book kind of developed into, and I really was surprised by the stories that were kind of uncovered along the way. And I just felt like it was such a standout right now in terms of YA. I'm having like a bit of a beefing moment with YA right now. Like I've just had so many YA books that have been underwhelming recently, and I feel like I'm just wary to pick up YA books these days, not because I'm a YA book hater, and maybe it's on me, maybe my standards are different these days, but this book was a standout. This book was a gem in the YA space. I loved the focus on sisterhood within this book and seeing kind of the links that they would go to protect each other and to keep their bond intact. It didn't come without its faults, but I loved every bit of it, and I need more by this author ASAP. Stat, give it to me. It's filled with beautiful description, haunting details, and unique developments. I can't recommend it enough. The final book on my list is The Poppy War. If you don't know anything about this, though I'm sure many of you know what it's about, this is an epic historical fantasy. In it, we are following our main character, Rin, who ends up acing the Keju, which is a test to find the most talented youth, and after they take this test, if they do very well on it, they will be taken to this military school, the academies where they will train. We follow her journey at the school and the hardships that she faces, not only the hardships that come from the school itself, but from the other students and kind of how they treat her there. Rin soon finds that she has a gift that will set her apart from the rest. I know I'm late to the party with this one, but I also don't think it's a party that you can be late to. I feel like it's just that good of a book that it just like ages better and better the more it's been out, the longer it's been out. The party remains open for all to come and partake, and I feel like this is a book in particular that I will get more out of it if I reread it down the line, because I feel like there's just so much that goes down in these books that I'm still processing a lot of what I read even today, and I read this almost a year ago. I would say that the trilogy as a whole should be on this list, but The Poppy War in particular I think was my favorite out of all of the books, even though I just feel like they maintained their greatness throughout. Like there was not one book in that trilogy that I did not enjoy. In fact, a part of me wants to argue that the books get better and better and better, but I have a special place in my heart for The Poppy War just because I feel like it's such a fantastic introduction into the trilogy. It's a very politically driven fantasy series with a lot of like morally gray characters, and by morally gray I mean like everybody is morally gray. I feel like even our main character Rin is so questionable throughout the trilogy, and I think that that was one of my favorite parts of the book, is that like you find yourself attached to these characters, you find yourself loving these characters, but they're also just like very questionable characters and make questionable decisions, and I feel like sometimes you're having like a war in your mind on like, should I be liking this character? Should I be rooting for this character? It's a very rich world and it's based on historical events. I can't say it's like the most fun read. Like there's a lot of horrific things that happen in here, lots of violence, and there's just lots of hardships that unravel throughout this trilogy. And there are a lot of trigger warnings for this book. I'm not going to list all of them, but you can find them on google.com. I don't know if there's anything else that I can add to the conversation surrounding this book, because I know that this book has been out for a very long time and so many people have raved about it for years and years and years. I'm late to the party, like I said, but I loved it. I loved the complex characters, I loved the world, and the political aspects of it were really interesting as well. I feel like it's one of those books that I like have a hard time kind of explaining how incredible it is. I feel like it's something that you yourself have to experience for yourself. So if you feel like you can read the Poppy War, if you've read the trigger warnings and you feel like you can make your way through it, I highly recommend it. Now we are entering the honorable mentions section of this video. I'm gonna do a little rapid fire moment and go through all the books that I loved this year. The Princess and the Grilled Cheese Sandwich focuses on a female-female relationship that is super wholesome and pure, and it's got a fantastic art style. This is one of my favorite graphic novels from this year. Kaleidoscope is a bunch of short stories that kind of feels reminiscent of what it looks like to look through a kaleidoscope. That's the best way I can describe it. This is not going to be a book for everyone, so I am hesitant in recommending it, but it was the book for me. The Memory Police is an incredibly written dystopian book that feels very quiet. I feel like a lot of dystopian books give off loud energy. This book gives off quiet energy. The Bromance Book Club, I love this one. I loved the idea behind there being a book club with all these guys reading a romance book in order to be better partners. We Need to Do Something is a book that is incredibly trippy and interesting. It has a family that has lots of layers and lots of secrets, and it's just a fascinating read from beginning to end and one that you will not stop thinking about. Slay is another standout YA book. I loved the gaming element and the messages and themes that were tucked away inside this book. Next is Everyone in This Room Will Someday Be Dead. I related so much to the main character in this book. She is a people pleaser to a T, but I feel like by the end of it we see a lot of growth, and I loved following her on her journey. Next I have two books from the Every Heart a Doorway series. I got caught up on this series this year, and these two were standouts to me. First up, we've got In an Absent Dream. Both of these were just my favorite from the series. Next here, we've got Several People Are Typing. It's a fascinating concept, and it's executed so well. It's written in a series of Slack messages, and it will have you on the edge of your seat. Britney Spears, The Woman in Me. I have so much respect for how open Britney was with this book. I feel like she was just touching the surface of the things that she's been through, but I just respected how open and honest she was, and just kind of bearing it all for the world to read. Last on my honorable mentions, we've got If We Were Villains, another book that I was late to the party for, but one that I just loved from beginning to end. It is a very slow burn book, so it's not going to be for everyone. The pacing is rather slow, not a lot happens, but I loved the found family in this situation, and also just like trying to figure out what was happening and what was going to happen. That is it for my best books of 2023 video. Let me know down below in the comments if you guys have read any of these books and what your thoughts are on them. If not, let me know down below in the comments some of your favorite books that you read in 2023. I want to hear from you guys. If you like this video, be sure to go and hit that like button. If you want to see more bookish content from me, be sure to go and hit subscribe or go and hit that bell icon and you'll be notified every time I post new videos. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope your day is bright, that tomorrow is brighter. Keep reading what your heart desires, and I will see you soon with a new video. Bye, yo!